What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this very special live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. And of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. And today I have a very, very special guest with me. A lot of you all have heard me talk about Rokfin, the alternative video platform that I've always described as a little bit of YouTube, a little bit of Netflix, but it's much, much better, in my opinion, than both. The platform that I am part of, Ron Placone is part of, Graham Elwood is part of, the Convo, and this is the CEO of Rokfin, Martin Floreani. What's going on, Martin? How you doing? Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Niko.
No problem at all, man. I feel like it's been a long time doing before you became the CEO and founder of Rokfin, and then kind of what led you into creating Rokfin.
I started really bootstrapping it from the ground up, and in about May of 2018.
Okay, good stuff, good stuff. So how successful were you with competing with ESPN? I remember I saw one article that said at one point ESPN actually began hemorrhaging supporters on their ESPN Plus app, and then simultaneously you were averaging about 30,000 a month new subscribers for Flow Sports.
Yeah, so Flow Sports was awesome. It was and it still is awesome. It's a great company, and we are very successful. Essentially, what ESPN was in classic innovator's dilemma. They were so reliant on cable, and the faster they made the switch to digital, they were going to lose their big nest egg of cable, and that was going to be a really big, hard pill to swallow for ESPN. And so that's what they call the innovator's dilemma. And so we just exploited it because they were kind of part of the old guard. They weren't moving fast enough. Their CEO was famous for saying, cable's not going anywhere. And so we took advantage of the fact that they weren't in the future, and we were on the bleeding edge. And so we just kept on running and building that company. And I did great things with it.
Man, that's awesome. And it's funny because I actually distinctively remember when ESPN was kind of, for lack of a better word, half-assing it, trying to go to the digital side. They weren't even really investing heavily into their apps. Their apps were not efficient. They were choppy. And then really, and it's funny because I didn't even know at the time that your Flow Sports had been created, and you actually started to see them begin to take their digital side seriously about 2 years ago, and maybe even a year and a half ago. Now you have them investing in, the NBA investing into a League Pass app, making it cheaper for people to get League Pass, and NBA TV as well. Now you don't have to have satellite to get it, because like you said, at first everybody was like, oh, cable and satellite aren't going anywhere. So it's good to see somebody take advantage of the market, and people kind of being ignorant and I guess wallowing in their own ego, thinking that they can't be touched. Yeah, you might be able to not be touched, but them hemorrhaging 300,000 is like, for you getting 30,000 and them hemorrhaging 300,000, they're gonna miss that 300,000, and it's gonna help you much more getting 30,000 subscribers a month, especially. So what do you think you did different? Why was Flow Sports like just increasing at such a rapid rate while ESPN had every advantage? I mean, they're owned by Disney, for crying out loud. They have the SEC, they have every, known advantage you can have for a sports network, to the point where even networks like FS1 or even TNT, they have trouble keeping up. What were you all doing different?
It's just a mindset. It's a mindset of just being, of not being entitled. What you have is, when you have a corporate structure that kind of gets set in their ways, entitlement builds, and entitlement's like rust. And when people think that they're God's given, CEO or corporate exec and politics brain at a company, that's when you start to see the rust build. And the entitlement starts to creep in all aspects of a corporation. And when there's entitlement, there's not innovation. And innovation is what wins.
That's
innovation, and providing value, and constantly focused on your mission and being humble around that. That's what's going to win. And so the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Now, I will say ESPN has adjusted. They are now, like, they've seen the writing on the wall. They've made adjustment. They aren't what they were for a good amount of years. They changed their leadership. They shook things up. So it's on, and they are making some interesting moves and doing some things that I would consider to be smart chess moves. But when you have entitlement, man, that's when really bad things happen.
Yeah, I would also make an argument that companies like yourself are what pushed them to do that, which ultimately for the viewer, which seems to be what you kind of care about more than anything, from the conversations I've had with the marketing team and just what the Rokfin's overall philosophy has been, it seems like you are more so about making the content easier to create and distribute to the viewer. And you all really do a great job, in my opinion, for both people, right? And I feel like sometimes, like, for example, when YouTube first came out, it was way more creator dominant. Like, everything we're gonna do for the creator, and they didn't care about the viewer. Then it's way more viewer dominant as ads became a thing, and then the creator kind of got screwed. And now it's almost like both the creators and the viewers are getting screwed. And the mainstream people who are already on cable news and are like, if you go through YouTube right now, through the browser page, without logging into anything, it's just a bunch of mainstream television shows and mainstream personalities on YouTube now. And that's not what YouTube was created for. So that brings me to my next question. What did you see in YouTube that you felt like, okay, this is it? We can jump in and do something that maybe Twitch or another company similar to yours could not do?
So, and this has to do with digital networks and how they're formed. But what you've described there is exactly the life cycle of what happens with the digital network. And so through 2000 to 2020, it was really all digital networks zeroed towards being really great for the customer. And that's good, but you can't forget about the supplier. Because if you're not taking care of the people that are actually making the goods, the customer's going to lose out in the end. Mm-hmm. And so what I look at YouTube is they're way off. And like you said, now I wouldn't even say necessarily they're putting more commercials. It's more annoying for even the user because they're trying to extract as much value from the network as possible to put in their coffers. And that's what they're doing. That's their choices they're making. But the gap in the marketplace and from 2020 will be all about the people that are making goods, making the products, making sure that they're taken care of. Because if they are taken care of, they're going to create amazing goods that will help the customer.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
If they're constantly undercutted, if they're constantly just eroded, their values eroded, and they're left with peanuts, it's hard to be creative when you're just trying to survive. And so I wanted to create a network that put the creator first, so the creator could put the customer first. Right?
That's what it seems like, yeah.
And that's really our obsession. We just want to do what's right for the content provider. Now we have individual creators like yourself. We also have media companies starting to come onto the platform because the opportunity right now is it's really hard for them to make it on their own, right? YouTube and Facebook own all of the advertising market. And it's hard for someone to get a sponsorship or sell because if you've ever bought ads, if you've ever bought anything, it's all about the data, and Google and Facebook have all of that data. So it's hard for an advertising exec to allocate money towards that. And so they're really struggling because they're trying to figure out a way to make it work. They got Patreon, but then they live in a little bit of an island. And so we want to allow the creators to get the benefits of a collaboration of a network, and build a recurring revenue stream, also without ads, just because I don't like ads. So.
who does like ads? Like, let's be honest. Also, it's getting to the point where I might have put up with ads, but now the ads are getting really creepy because it's like I was thinking about something and then it shows up on my computer screen and now I don't even want to look at it no more. I don't even want the product because y'all don't freak me out. But I want to share a personal story with you about that very thing happening as far as, you know, ads and algorithm manipulation and not catering to the creator, even when the creator is actually producing a lot for the platform for my channel. In January, February, and March, we hit this ridiculous like boom, and it was the beginning of the elections. But basically, a lot of our predictions had become true, and we were covering some groundbreaking stories. So we jumped from 10,000 subscribers to about 30,000 subscribers in like 2 months, and then about a month and a half later, we went from that to 40,000 subscribers. And then I would say from January through maybe March or April, we were hitting 1 million views a month. With, videos, 150,000 views. And it was crazy. It was something that we hadn't seen before. But in my opinion, it was because the content was great. And finally, just because of the election and our timing, we were finally getting the recognition that we had deserved from the work that we had put in. Now, here was the thing about that. A YouTube employee comes up to me, finds me in San Francisco at a presidential candidate's event, and tells me that YouTube is about to start messing with not only my channel, but the channels of other independent political content creators, because we're messing with the mainstream's revenue stream. There are content creators on there. One of my friends, Kyle Kalinske, will get 50,000 views on a 5-6 minute video that he does himself. My other friend, Jimmy Dore, same thing. He'll get 200,000 views on a 7-8 minute video. Fox News, MSNBC have millions of subscribers and can't get that. And it's like what you said, the content creator is the creator of the content is the most important thing now when it comes to the consumption of media. A lot of people feel that way, whether it's sports, politics, something like, Joe Rogan, those type of talk shows. It isn't like the Oprah style talk shows anymore. The Joe Rogans are more popular. Now, because of that, it was worse back. It's kind of bettering itself now, but it was worse back then. We took a hit of losing 600 or 700,000 views a month, having nothing to do. And then we started getting hit with demonetization almost across the board. Which, is that smart business even?
Well, you know what? They have so much leverage with the network because they own it outright, and they can obfuscate data and kind of manipulate things the way they want to manipulate them behind the scenes. And so they can play those games because of how their network is structured, and they can get away with it. It's the power of network effects is extraordinary. It's probably the single most greatest invention of the 21st century in terms of what's been captured and harnessed. It's also where a lot of the value of the internet has been created is around digital network effects. And one of the laws of digital network effects is that as a network gets bigger, it gets stronger exponentially. And therefore, it's a lot harder for other networks to compete around that particular network. It's a winner take all or winner take most game. And so what happened with YouTube is it's gone to that route. Now, we think we have a good answer for it. And we think, we're small, but we're focused on the mechanics and executing from one day to the next around those mechanics. But we believe we have discovered a new method that makes sense from a business perspective. It makes sense from a society perspective. And we're just harnessing, we're executing to it. And we're using some creative elements to do that. But the reason why YouTube can play games is because of that power. Now, I will say YouTube is nothing without the content creators. Mm-hmm. With all the content creators, YouTube value goes away. The only reason it's worth $250 billion, whatever it's worth today, is because the collaborative efforts of the content creators. But if they can silo individuals and kind of mess with them individually, it's hard for the individuals to know, hey, what else is going on? And they don't get any of the benefits of their collaboration, these individuals. And so they're really blinded by what's going on, because all the network is closed. No one understands the data. No one understands their true value. And so YouTube will always win in the negotiation, the one-sided negotiation with the content creators, because they have all the data, and the creator really has only a fraction of it, and not the real data that actually matters.
It's true. You have to kind of like be able to deduce based off of what you have available to you, and that's what we were able to do. Most of our video views came through 70% video suggestions before, and then it just flipped, and 70% of our views were coming from non-subscribers, which is what you want, right? So you can bring in new people. Yeah, it flipped. It went from 70% of our views were only exclusively coming from subscribers, and 30% were coming out of subscribers. And then whereas 70 or 60% of our viewership was coming through suggested videos because of tags and things like that, it flipped. Now 60% of our views only come from the browser page, where you're competing against everybody, and once again including the mainstream. And now if you finish watching a video from any of the independent content creators, it doesn't go to the next independent content creator like it used to. It goes to Fox News, MSNBC, etc., etc. So for comparison, for everybody who's curious, and if you're curious for your information, now with all things being equal, you have a good amount now of political content creators from both sides of the aisle on Rokfin now. And our show was the #1 most viewed show on the politics side of Rokfin, when all things were equal. With everybody getting promoted, nobody being suppressed by algorithms, everybody getting an equal chance to produce and have their work seen. And so that does say, covering the exact same topics, so that does say something when one platform, all things being equal, focus on the creator, focus on, hey, we're going to give you as much exposure as we can, then let the chips fall where they may, versus one network you have, or one platform, you're rising rapidly, so clearly people like the content, and then you stop, you kind of get hit. So what are you going to do or what can you do to kind of find that balance of creator and viewership in an innovative way that isn't going to like break the company's pockets competing with somebody like YouTube?
Yeah, so well, I'd say first off is that we change the chessboard, so we give more power to the creators. So we try to align our interests. So if the creator, so some of the things we do is we give them a stake in the network. So as the network grows, they get to participate in the growth of the network. We also give creators access if somebody has signed up through that creator, and that individual has a checkbox click, they can give their email to the creator, and the creator or the media company that's on the platform can have that direct relationship with the customer. And that's changing. It's small things, but they're important things, because we're changing the chessboard. So now for us to screw a creator, right? For Rokfin to screw a creator, that creator now has means to say, okay, I'm going to leave, and I'm going to leave with all my customers.
Yes.
Right? You can't do that on YouTube. You can't do that on other platforms. And so that's our way of saying, no, we're going to build a stronger network that gives the creator more cards and holds the content, the platform in check. Now, I know I'll never do that, but as companies grow, they get new leadership, new things come up, YouTube right now, they're so big, they probably have all these political pressures.
Oh, yeah, right? 100%. Yeah. Right.
So they're in DC lobbying for whatever they want, and they're horse trading away. They're saying, hey, these people that are these anti-establishments on the right and left, they're causing us a lot of problems. Can you dampen them? And they're probably horse trading X, Y, and Z to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. And they're saying, you know what, we can. YouTube is saying we can do that, and we're not going to even really feel that much of a pain, because we own the network. So we want to do is just put the cards back into the content, the people that are making the content's hands, and make it really painful for us to jack around with them beyond when I'm not CEO in 20 years. Right? If I'm not CEO in 20 years, I want the content providers to still have the edge, because guess what? Your edge allows you to make awesome content. Mm-hmm. If they're going to start eroding your edge, if you're going to start to say, ooh, if I say this, I'm going to get demonetized. Well, then all of a sudden that infringes on your creative process. And now you're not making badass content. And I wouldn't say it's a 3% difference. I would say because it's invading your creative process, it might be a 50% difference, 100% difference. So
it is. It's interesting that you say that, because it's a conversation that I've actually had with people on my network. Just people don't understand how much more, like if I do some content for YouTube, now I know I have 40,000 subscribers or whatever, and it could be the best content. The problem is I don't know if anybody will see it. There might be a couple that I put hours of work into something, and it might only be a couple of thousand that can see out of my 40,000 subscribers who have the notification bell turned on, so they're supposed to get every notification, but they don't. Now, if I do something like that and I have, there's a bunch of premium members from Rokfin who watch my content, I know that not only my premium members and my endorsees will see it, but potentially absolutely other premium members on the platform will have a chance to see it and make that decision whether or not they want to follow our channel and subscribe. And I think that that's a huge difference maker in the long run for Rokfin. Obviously, you're still in the beginning stages, and you're already growing rapidly. But when you're talking about 1 million, 2 million members on the platform, people know if I put in the effort and the quality is there, I have just of a chance at hitting, that 100,000, 200,000 view video as Joe Rogan does, doing his 100,000, 200,000 view video. So now it's just up to me. So I do believe, and that's beneficial for the platform, right? More than anybody else at the end of the day. So that's what I think is very important about that. So how many, I know y'all have different structures. You have the members, then you have subscribers. And so can you explain to people how many members you have right now, and then how many people have subscribed, and explain that process as well?
Yeah, so we have about 70,000. I'm gonna give it take 60 to 70,000 members on the platform, and we have 4,000 people 40 through Cup 300 that signed up, and 2,800, 2,900 active paying subscribers, paying $9.99 a month. So that's where we're at. I mean, it's we've only just started. We're a couple months in, but we're happy, and we're happy with the progress of the growth, and yeah, so that's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, because I've been a part of the platform since I want to say around September, and I know that a big focus for you guys was we're not going to just put out a half-assed product and say, everybody come here as much, come here, and then the product isn't done. It's, hey, let's bring people in, figure out what works, improve on it, invite more people in, figure out what works, improve on it, and then constantly, and I've seen personally, since I've been there, I've made huge changes. If you want to know how many people are subscribed on Rokfin right now, they just released something on the January 12th, I believe it was, where you can go and see exactly how many people are paying premium subscription, exactly how much the Ray token, which we're going to talk about in a second, is worth. You can even from that link buy Ray token there, and I would strongly suggest going to get some, by the way. And then like you said, for the actual users, you get access to emails if the user wants you to. And the way that the algorithms work, it's a complicated thing, but just because if somebody endorses me, they're still a premium member and they still watch a lot of the Convo Couch. Well, the Convo Couch partakes in some of those fruits as well. So everybody wins. That's good stuff. So let's talk about the crypto side really quick. What gave you the idea to base this platform around cryptocurrency, which is the Ray token, instead of doing it, traditionally, which would involve obviously cash payments?
Yeah, so the problem with cash is it doesn't accurately reward the value that what people are bringing to the network, and the reason is because it doesn't give the people that are getting the cash any option to have a stake in the network. So if you were a part of YouTube during the early days and you helped build YouTube into what it is today, a $200 billion empire, the way networks work is your contributions could have been massive. It could have been game-changing for
billion for
right?
some. Yeah.
You could have been a key reason why YouTube took off and not another competitor, right? Mm-hmm. And just because you decided, hey, let's give this platform a chance and let's do this. And so the content creators don't get that optionality. Now with the Ray token, they get that optionality. Now I actually don't love talking about the crypto aspect, because I think there's just so much misconception, and some of it's true. Frankly, there's just a lot of there's a lot of charlatans around the crypto sphere. But that being said, what the Ray token, all it does is simply it gives the content creator optionality. They can cash out 100% of their tokens right when they receive them, or they can decide to cash out some of them and keep some of them, or they can cash out none of them. And all we do is give content creators options, because that's what I would want if I were someone creating content. I'd want options to have that. And so they get the Ray token as a whole represents the full value of the network.
And for creators out there who may be thinking about joining Rokfin, I can tell you personally that it is a game changer to actually be able to use your Ray tokens if you want to. Hold them if you don't want to. I accumulate them. Sometimes I'll use maybe half of them. Sometimes I'll keep them. It just depends on what's going on that month. I do crypto trading too, so sometimes I use them to trade, then I put them right back into my wallet. You just never know what you can use it for. And for YouTube, you can only get paid once a month. And you can't, which is also important as we enter into the crypto era, and that is happening. In case you don't know, JP Morgan and Chase got into blockchain last year. So in other words, cryptocurrency is not going anywhere, and in fact I would even venture to say that it's getting better. And this is one of the very, very few platforms, Rokfin is, that actually make sure that you get not just a piece of it, not just I get a crypto for a like, or no, if you bring somebody into the platform, you're getting paid for it. People watching your video, you're getting paid for it. You're getting premium content, you're getting paid for it. People like it, you're getting paid for it. So it's different in that regard. But also, you're talking about in the era as crypto is taking off, intrusive platform that could undercut YouTube, because I doubt that YouTube is about to just switch to crypto tomorrow. No. Like, they're not gonna pay, advertisers ain't gonna start paying them in crypto. So for creators out there, that's a difference maker. Not being able to get paid when you choose to versus being able to get paid, or being at the will and the mercy of YouTube, and then also being able to get paid in the currency you want, which is not a luxury you get with YouTube. You get paid in cash, and that's what it is. And they get by the way, YouTube gets a huge chunk of your hard-earned money. And when I say your hard-earned money, because they'll look at you in your face and tell you straight up, this is how much you actually earn. You're only getting 55% of that. That's what they tell you that. Now with Rokfin, if I earn this, that's what it is.
Yeah. So I'll say this is that the problem with YouTube, they say they give you 55%, but you have to continually produce content to get that 55%. You have to continue. You get 55% of what you earn today. Niko, if you left the platform tomorrow, but your subscribers stayed on because of Grandma Wood, because of Convo Couch, because of all the work that you've done, you would continue to earn customer acquisition royalties from that content. If they are continue to pay their $10 a month over month, you earn royalties even if you decide to leave. Mm-hmm. Right. And so you're getting a stake in the lifetime value of the customers that you bring to the platform from a customer acquisition standpoint. And not only that, when you create content, you can also earn the customer retention royalties from other people's customers if they decide to leave the platform. Or if you just are helping retain their customers, you're earning customer retention royalties. And so that's the key component that YouTube won't tell you is what are you doing to affect the lifetime value of their customers? Yeah. Of the money they're bringing in. They're not going to tell you that. They're going to make you work like a horse to just continue to work and get the value what you do today. And You're not getting that stake in the network. It's just you wake up the next day, get back to work. And so our platform just knows.
Woo, you don't know how true that is, Mark. You don't know how true that is. That's true.
And by the way, they can change the rules to you on tomorrow, and you can't say jack about it. Right? You are going to you just have to take it because they own the network, right? And so there's very little ramification that the creators and the content providers can do with YouTube. There's little recourse that they have, and YouTube knows it. They're run by a bunch of MBAs now, and they don't have the same philosophy, the same mentality that when they first started. And now they run the chessboard, and they will extract as much as they possibly can from the content providers so that their profits and their income statement look good.
They definitely take calculated risks, like legal calculated risks. And for example, if we get demonetized, right, we can review it. However, they still play ads on your videos. And what's even more interesting about it is that they say, well, we don't know if this is appropriate for advertisers. However, the ads are customized for the people that are watching the content. So what does it matter if it's appropriate for an advertiser? If that's the person who's watching the content, the ad is specialized for that person, that excuse doesn't really go well together. But they still will take that money though, because they get paid by the advertiser first for a certain number of slots, if I'm not mistaken. So they get all the money, but you're not getting it. And so they're having their cake and eating yours too, essentially, because they're getting paid regardless. So
I mean, that's corporate big company BS. Right.
Yep.
That's a typical thing that you'll start to see the double speak, or start to see the total hypocrisy coming from corporate BS as they get the bigger and have the rust on them. And it's not an environment that I ever want to be in. I was just talking with Scott Adams yesterday. So he started posting on our platform, and he said what they the games they play is they just turn the monetization off. Or they turn his monetization off when he gets 80% of his views, and then he'll appeal it and they'll put it back on. And it's every single time. He's like, this is ridiculous. And it's on its face, it's ridiculous. But what are you going to do? They own the network.
Yes.
Right. So, we're small now, but we're gritty and we're scrappy and we're focused on the right things. And little by little, we believe that we have the right mechanics in place for digital marketplace, digital network effects to take hold and for it to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And we're just going to focus on that execution and work with people like you to execute it, because there's got to be a better way. Because going down that road of what the YouTube road is just where the suppliers, the people that are making things, just continue to get eroded. That doesn't end in a good spot.
Yeah, for anybody.
It's not a world I want to live in.
Yeah, if in the era, and I was birthed, my channel was birthed out of the Bernie Sanders era of politics in 2015 and 2016, and because of independent media, we saw the entire nation shift its politics in a very positive way, and even shift their ability to get certain knowledge and care about certain knowledge that they otherwise wouldn't have cared about, shift as well. And that fundamentally reshapes the future in a positive way for everybody. Now people are, for one reason or another, they're more politically active than they have ever been. We're literally seeing politics become pop culture right in front of our eyes. And there you got The View. They talk about politics more than anything else now. They get it wrong about 100% of the time, but they talk about it more than anything else now. You have Joe Rogan, whereas primarily at first he would bring on celebrities and athletes, usually MMA. Now he's bringing on independent journalists and getting more views than when he brings on some of his athletes. And that's the independent world. They're becoming the new superstars, the new A-list celebrities that you recognize in the store or whatever. And you're going, Jimmy Dore, this man literally when he started his channel, he had 30,000 followers. He was a comedian before, then he became a YouTube comedian. Now he has, I want to say, almost 600,000 and sells out he just went to Honolulu and he sold out a show there. He sells out all across the country. That's from YouTube. And so that lets you know where we're at. Now, the question is, who's going to play ball and embolden the creators who put us in this position, or suppress them for the powers that be? And I would like to say that I believe that your success with Flow Sports, because when you started Flow Sports, it was like a super niche type of area, right? Like mostly like wrestling and combat sports, and then you kind of gravitated onto like baseball and things like that, sports that people, you might like it, but you have no idea where to watch it, or you can't afford to watch it on I'm not gonna buy a whole cable, just to get the ESPN 2 package. That's not happening. So you gave them an avenue and were successful there in a super small niche with basically going up against Disney, because like that's who you're going up against when you go up against ESPN. So now you're going up against the quote unquote Disney of the tech world. But now you've kind of opened up to everybody. Now, like, it's like, okay, everybody, it's going to take all of us to get this, you know, to conquer this. And I feel like you're put in the best position to be successful as compared to all the other platforms, which is why I contribute so much, because I believe personally in the platform.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited, and yeah, my history with Flow Sports has, I'm a sponge. I've tried to learn every step of the way, and I make, you know, when you go through the process of being a CEO, you make mistakes, you get learnings, you learn from your mistakes, and so there's just this constant process where you're learning from your mistakes, and you're getting better, and you're innovating, and you're just kind of always, like I said when I started, you're humble, you're gritty, and it doesn't change even after you get to 250 employees. You just constantly are thinking, hey, how can we innovate? And that same hunger that started is what's going to get us to that next level every step of the way, and making sure not to have any entitlement. Right? The entitlement has to be out of the room. And so I think that's what has served us. And yeah, I feel like the mechanics and the business of what we're doing work, right? This is not the mechanics work. It's based off of recurring revenue. It's based off of subscription. It's based off of proven concepts that work in media, like bundling content. It works. And we allow the content creators to do that and get those benefits. And because of that's what I ascribe to our.
Yeah, and you market your creators really well too, right? You market your creators really well. And the last thing I would like to ask you, speaking of next level, so what is up next for Rokfin? You all have just released your iOS app a couple of months ago. That looks like it's doing very well in the App Store. I think it almost is at like just almost at 5 stars exactly with all the ratings. You released some other things on the creator side for us. You released that the link to see what's happening on the platform on the back end, premium subscribers, et cetera, et cetera. So what's next for Rokfin in 2020?
So one thing I'd like to do is the way I want to give all my knowledge to the content providers in terms of like how to manage, you know, the subscribers that they have, and be able to have the visibility that we had, and that I expect as somebody. If I'm going to be running media and I have my own media enterprise, I want to be able to give them the tools that. So I'd really like to give the content providers more tools. I'd like for them to be able to see and each different subscriber what the first month retention is, because that's a key component of their success. And it's a little more technical, but I want to make sure that they have these components, because if their first month retention is 60%, or if it is, which is on our platform actually 90% or 89%,
wow,
that's a massive difference in the lifetime value of a subscriber. Because if you follow that customer through the retention curve, you're going to have a totally different outcomes, right, and totally different engagement. And so our focus is make sure that the creators can understand those different components and have visibility into it, so that they can get the benefits of what they're doing and have visibility into their future earning potential. I also, in terms of engagement, I think our engagement has been up and to the right, and we're going to continue to focus in on engagement to make sure that the customers of our content providers and the people that are making the content are engaged and they're loving the platform, so that the content providers can get the full benefit of them being on the platform. So making sure that they have the right the people that are the consumers that are downloading have really good engagement with the platform is a focus. And then also just bringing on more people like you, Niko, just more independent providers that are saying, you know what, there is a better method. I don't have to make my money off of advertising and clickbait. I can make really awesome content, make a living, build up a recurring revenue stream, right? And have a stake in the network, so that I'm not having to grind day in and day out on creating content where it really doesn't, it's not about creating the best content. It's just maybe putting something out there.
Yeah.
Just helping content creators create amazing content, because ultimately that's what's going to make the platform successful. It really comes down to that. Just make amazing content. And so we want to help the content providers do that. And if they can do that, everybody wins. We win, they win, the people watching the content win. So that's our focus here in 2020.
That's good stuff. And I'll tell you this, guys, it isn't like the fake analytics that YouTube's give us. Like YouTube's give us analytics like, oh, we're just trying to help you make your channel better. But they don't ever tell you what, like in the fine print, yeah, you could do everything right, but it doesn't mean that people are going to see your content. They'll tell you, oh, just make a better thumbnail. Listen, there are times when I upload a video, it's processing, I will hemorrhage 50 subscribers right then and there. And then I have a program where I actually, because I began to get really, really curious how much of it was me, because you always have to look at yourself, and then how much of it was YouTube. So I have a platform called vidIQ, and it tells you exactly how many subscribers you gained that day, how many subscribers you lost that day. I could get 250 subscribers that day. They'll kill or forcibly unsubscribe 245 of them. So it looks like I didn't move at all. Like it was wild at first. I was like, maybe is it me? Then what would happen was I said, look, you know what? Let me not post anything for 2 days and see what happens. My subscribers would go up when I'm not posting anything. Then the moment I post something, immediately people would be unsubscribed. And then people started reaching out to me. Hey, I was unsubscribed from your channel. Hey, I didn't get to see your content. Hey, I wasn't. Like, what do you mean? and that's where we're at. So they give you these analytics saying that they want to help you, and you try to use their methods, but they don't tell you to fine print. Oh yeah, by the way, if we don't like your channel, you're not gonna get seen, so it doesn't matter. Or if you're not mainstream, or if you're not already a popular creator, then it's not going to help you all that much unless you do what you talked about. You have to clickbait everything, and that's not right. It's not good for necessarily the creator to have to do that, because a lot of creators don't like doing that. I don't like doing that. I have to put breaking in half of my shit just for people to be able to see it so it can crack through the algorithm. I don't have to do that on Rokfin at all. I mean, unless it's actually some breaking news. I don't have to do that on Rokfin. And I figured out when you all wrote out where people are coming into the platform from. For me, primarily, it was YouTube and Twitter, not so much Facebook. So now I know, okay, I can focus more on sharing my content here, and I know that they will come in because they're the ones who are, for whatever reason, are more receptive to coming in. And it's actually, I've grown because of that metric more in the last month and a half on Rokfin because of it. So it isn't like fake analytics. It actually helps the creator, and I know because I'm a personal beneficiary of it. So he's right.
Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Niko.
No problem, man. Thank you for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. Do you have any last words for the audience, like where they can find you or anything like that?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, Martino Flow. On Twitter, obviously you can follow Rokfin, Rokfin, on Twitter as well, the Rokfin. And yeah, just let's keep going day by day, executing. Great things are going to be happening in 2020, not only the year but the decade. So I'm pumped.
Good stuff. All right, for everybody else, thank you all so much for tuning in to this live stream interview on Mikasa Sukasa. And always remember, more than anything else, everybody, find your balance. Peace.